It's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dream team.
So much, Noelle Xie. Noelle is a special guest, not a typical guest for our show because she took a very different path. Noelle Xie started her life in China, and she was exposed to many well-educated people and artists. And so she was inspired by that, even though she went to school in China and studied.
To law school in Paris, Sorbonne.
And she had a fascinating career starting with the United Nations, where she did a lot of traveling, many countries, been to over 100 countries, and especially a large number of countries in Africa, where most of us have never even been. And she spent a lot of time there. And she speaks three languages fluently: English, Chinese, and French, but not in that order. It was Chinese, then French, then English came at the end. And then she changed direction completely. And I'm going to turn over the floor now and let her give us a nice introduction about her start and then her path. Noelle?
Thank you, Mark. First, I wish to thank each and everyone who is here with us now to take your precious time Thursday evening to be with us. And I hope we'll have enough time for Q&A after my conversation with Mark. Yes, I was born in Shanghai, China, and grew up in an atypical Chinese family. I think Shanghai somehow is not the same as many other parts of China. So I remember we have a quite happy childhood. Not maybe so many variety of ice cream or chocolates, but we have a lot of wonderful Chinese food and even access to lots of American films and European movies and museums also, since Shanghai is a very cosmopolitan city, which instilled my dream to the Western world because I grew up with Audrey Hepburn films, Roman Holidays, My Fair Lady, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Why I talk about this? Because just last December 2024, I spoke at a film exhibition event in Shanghai to honor the legacy of Audrey Hepburn. And I was on stage together with her son, Sean Hepburn Farrer, not only to honor her film legend, but also to talk about her philanthropy. Audrey Hepburn was the first goodwill ambassador to United Nations. So this is how I dreamed of Europe, dream of America because of those films and also those literatures. The first novel I read in Chinese, translated into Chinese, was Gone with the Wind. So all these literatures and films prepare me for my future path. So my first dream was to continue my education in Paris. So I achieved my first dream after my medical college in Shanghai. So I continued my studies in Sorbonne, transitioned from a medical school to a law school. I did an international law degree, which prepared me a career with United Nations. I did a master, at that time we called deuxième cycle, troisième cycle, DESS, Diplôme d'études supérieures spécialisées. So this is a diploma. I was specialized in international public law. So following that study, so I went to Geneva. I did an internship with the World Health Organization, l'OMS. And then after the internship, since my English was not sufficient enough, at that time I only spoke Chinese, and French. So I think it's very important to learn and master English when I was 25. So I decided to leave Europe and arrive to come to United States. So of course, my first stop naturally is New York, because this is where United Nations headquarters is located. I first learned English in New York, and I wrote in my book, the book titled also World Citizen La Vie en Rose. There's one chapter I wrote about how I studied English, not a formal education in American school. I did my own way. I virtually learned in the street, and also I found American roommate. Then I go to film theaters because I'm passionate about films. So I bought a MoMA, Museum of Modern Art, membership card, which allowed me to watch films every day in a MoMA film archives, like to watch those black and white Hitchcock films. That was fascinating because it's a lot of surreal films, which forced me to go through to understand English.
That's the hard way. You know, my mother moved to
It's a fun way. It's a fun way.
didn't
Yeah.
speak any English either. And even though she was surrounded by English speakers, it took her a long time to master English. And you speak it so well without any formal training. It's impressive.
I think any language, I believe it's a learning in process. Even today, I think I improve. I'm still improving. When I read newspapers or online social media, whenever I have encountered some words that I'm not sure about meaning, today is much easier. We have Google Translate. So it's really a work in process. That will be never end.
Well, you know, the advantage you have is the curious mind that is always looking to learn new things. That's why you read newspapers, for example.
Mhm.
And the more you explore, the more new things you will encounter, and then be able to add that, right?
Yeah, curiosity, absolutely. Yeah.
So then you settled in New York. What happened next?
Yes. So the first 2 years, of course, I could not have like a professional work with United Nations because my English level. So I worked part time in a laboratory using a little bit of my medical background. So this job does not require to speak too much about English. So 2 years later, finally, I think my English was sufficient enough. So I started apply for professional work, a job application to United Nations. So I was accepted by UNICEF. So where I mentioned earlier, Audrey Hepburn was the first UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. And I was very much inspired by her films and by her philanthropic spirit. So first I was in New York, then they sent me to Africa. I was based in Zambia, Lusaka, my first field duty station. I enjoy a lot my work and my life in Africa.
So that must have been interesting. How much time did you spend in Africa? And did you do a lot of time in different parts of Africa?
Yes, I was in Africa twice. First time with I mentioned earlier to Zambia. It's southern Eastern Africa with UNICEF from 94 to 96. And I travel a lot to southern Eastern Africa. I also had the privilege to meet President Nelson Mandela and his wife, Galasa Machel Mandela, in South Africa. And also I was a youth delegate, UNICEF's delegate, to attend the milestone of Fourth World Conference on Women. We don't have fifths. So recently, if you read news at United Nations in New York, I understand that Kathy also came to this event. We celebrate Beijing plus 30. imagine I was already a youth delegate in 1995 to Beijing Women's Conference. So this year we celebrate 30th anniversary of Beijing Women's Conference, as well as CSW Commission on the Status of Women 69. So why Beijing Women's Conference is or was so important? Maybe our audience remembers Hillary Clinton made a historical declaration in Beijing: women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights. So it was the first time she did that in Beijing, and I was in that room when she made that remarks. Yeah.
That's impressive. What are some key memories you have between the two events where there's some similarity and maybe some difference?
The memories, you mean United Nations
No,
work?
the women's meeting from 1990 to
Oh
20.
yes, actually, if I am allowed to say freely,
Yeah.
off record, the speech most memorable from that women's conference, Beijing Women's Conference, was indeed the Pakistan, at that time, Pakistan Prime Minister Bhutto, that woman Pakistani Prime Minister. She was so impressive. I was very happy to be there and also shake hands with her. But tragically, she died a few years later. I think we all know that. I think she was a very inspirational, great woman leader. In addition to, of course, our Mrs. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's awesome. And from that point, I remember you
And
also,
Winnie Mandela, I met many inspirational women leaders at that women's conference. And it's amazing, 30 years later in New York, during, just 2 weeks ago, we have like a Beijing Plus 30 conference at Harvard Club. And I met some veteran women leaders, like my former boss, UNICEF boss, Carol Bellamy, and a few others. It's a very emotional moment also, because some of these leaders I haven't seen for 10 or 20 years. Some are retired, but they are still active. Yeah, some are over 80 or 90s already.
well, since we're talking about like a timeline, if you could go back in time and talk to the 25-year-old version of yourself, is there any special advice you would give to a young Noelle Xie?
I embraced life or a life path rooted with a free spirit and love and passion, creativity and individual originality. Somehow, maybe it's not, I did not conform the traditional career choices or conventional way of life. I believe love and passion and free spirit. I think everything you do, it has to, to do with love and passion. Then you can do well. You don't feel like your work is like passive. It's active. Every day you wake up, you look forward to today or tomorrow's work. I think it's quite important.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Like, from my perspective, every day you spend, it's like the rings on a tree. Instead of a year, it's just another ring, right?
Mhm.
Becomes a part of you. How you spend your time actually becomes a part of you, your essence, right? So, like you
Yeah,
said, it's important that you spend that time doing something that enriches you, truly.
yeah, we are master of our own life choices or life journey. Um, Love is driving force of all life and creation. when we do something with true love, we live with harmony.
Mm.
I really believe that. And this is why I focus on process, not so much on result. If we keep faith, then ultimately you continue to work hard. I'm sure you people will have good results in the end.
You know, I work with a lot of Chinese Americans over my past 35 years in high tech, especially. And many Chinese Americans in the based in California and New York, especially, are raised or are raising young people focused only on STEM. And, you took a completely different path than almost all of them. What would you say to someone who feels drawn into the arts or diplomacy or global service like yourself, who has a different passion? What would be your guidance to them as they're maybe concerned about disappointing their parents or their family?
Um, yes. Again, I emphasize natural talents and love and passion. You don't live your life for your parents or for society or for the world. You live for yourself. So you got to be happy, to feel good about yourself. Um, and don't force yourself to do something that you don't like just to satisfy your parents or your family. We live in America. This country, America is great. I'm always very grateful. In America, we embrace free spirit. We embrace love and passion. We don't have to conform any traditional or conventional way of life or traditional life choices. We are free. We have to fully take advantage of living in America to have free choices.
That's very well put. We say the United States is a country of trailblazers, regardless
Yes,
of where
in
they're.
all fields. Yes, yes, yeah.
That's right. Innovation, trailblazing, trying different things, pursuing your passions, right?
Yes, yeah. And even you fail, but it's still worth it.
Yeah, you can fail, but then you can recover, right?
Mhm. Yeah, you
It's
learn lessons. You continue.
you continue.
Never give up.
That's right. It's a land for continuous opportunities for those who are looking for them and pursuing them.
Yeah, never give up and never too late.
So it's amazing for me that you went the other direction instead of going across the Pacific to the United States, like a lot of others. You
Mhm.
went the other direction and ended up in Europe, right? That was sort of what pulled you, but you still found your way to New York City after experiencing Europe, right?
Yes, because New York is the headquarters where United Nations is located. And also, for me, it's the most international city in the world after traveling so many places. Um, I find a lot of cool people, interesting people in New York. But of course, I continue to travel. I live part time in Europe, and also I go to China, go to Asia once in a while. Um, but I really like New York. Uh, somehow I'm a big city girl. um, I don't need to play golf or play football every day, but I need to have museum next door, to have movie theaters next door. So people have different interests of life. I always lived in big cities, except those African years. Uh, New York, Paris, Shanghai, Geneva. So it's more city life, yeah. But of course, I go to countryside holidays or weekends.
Yeah, so how did you make that dramatic career change? Because we work with a lot of folks in the professional world who want to move maybe to an industry or a job function, but you went like completely from the world of diplomacy and leadership into arts and fashion. What was that path like to get there?
I don't call this a transition because doing all these things at the same time. I did not give up UN or government job in order to do art or fashion. I just added more elements, more aspects of my life. I integrated. Okay, even I with United Nations. Yeah, I was a full-time UN program officer until like 10, 15 years ago. Then I became a part-time consultant, or sometimes they call advisor or global advocate for United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. My last project was with the UNAIDS, located in Geneva. I was trying to raise funds to support UNAIDS program that I mentioned to you before, probably. We organized some fundraising gala dinners at Art Basel, your home country, Art Basel, Switzerland. Not only to mobilize government leaders and business leaders, but also to encourage artists, gallerists, and art collectors to work with United Nations to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So for several years, it was quite successful. We raised some funds to support UNAIDS program. Then on the other hand, I'm still today, I'm a federal contractor with the US State Department. I serve in an international leadership program to receive international leaders from all over the world. It's a bilateral exchange program to promote mutual understanding and mutual collaboration between the United States and other countries.
Are there any of these leaders that you've met that really made an impression on you?
Oh, there are so many. I don't want to name out people for privacy reasons. I met some great political leaders, or some potential leaders, or some well-known journalists, well-known business leaders. It's a very interesting work. I really enjoyed it. Not only meeting interesting people from international world, but also to meet their counterparts in different states. Because of this program, I traveled to 47 states in the US. So now I can say, not only I improved my English, and I know the United States quite well.
I would say 47. That's more than practically,
Yeah, more than most of Americans. Yeah,
Americans haven't been to
that's
more than.
the advantage of this job.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still get to travel in that role?
Yes, yeah. Not only I receive Chinese-speaking countries, China or Taiwan or Singapore, because I speak French, so I also received French delegations last year, or some African countries. In Africa, you have some French-speaking African countries also.
So, you've worked in these different areas and with different kinds of people. Is there anything you find people assume, either about success in diplomacy or success in art or your global work, that you wish they understood was completely wrong? Misperceptions.
Everything is relative. Nobody can be completely wrong or completely right. It's all relative. Because of this exchange program we call educational cultural exchange, it's exactly the purpose is to help other people from other countries to know the United States better, to understand the US values and our way of life. When you have a mutual understanding, and obviously people will like to work with us, will have more friends instead of adversaries.
the better understanding between peoples.
Yeah, the communication is key. I believe communication, I mean, political sense, negotiation. Why do we have conflict or war? I always believe in um, diplomacy, communication, and the negotiations, by all means.
So we didn't spend that much time on your book, La Vie en Rose, right?
World citizen La Vie en Rose, yes.
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 You have a
So,
copy there.
Noelle, the title,
There.
subtitle, World Citizen La Vie en Rose.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is a bilingual book. I wrote originally in English and I translated myself into Chinese. So one page in English, one page Chinese. It's a photo memoir, which documented my cross-country, cross-sector journey from Shanghai to Paris, Geneva, Africa, and New York, and my work in the government field, cultural exchange, United Nations, international development, and also my work as a curator of contemporary art, as well as sometimes fashion spokesperson or image spokesperson during New York Fashion Week.
Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? You're a spokesperson for the Fashion Week.
Actually, 2019, when I first received the French honor,
Oh, wow.
Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur, I was knighted by French President Macron. So I was invited to many social events, gala dinners. So I was invited by a Chinese fashion company. It's called Lily. They came to participate in New York Fashion Week autumn season. I believe in September 2019. So they invited me as image spokesperson to speak at one of their press conference to introduce or promote their brand. Their brand, the name is a 新女性. That means a new Chinese woman or something like that.
Very cool. Very cool. You meet any famous celebrities at that event?
Oh, I met so many celebrities in my life. I mean, in my United Nations work, as well in my art endeavors, as well in the fashion world. I think I mentioned to you before, one of the fashion designers, DVF, I'm sure you know, Diana von Furstenberg. She even wrote some words. She endorsed my book, okay? And Anna Wintour, I met her many times, Vera Wang. And then recently, 2025, February, I met Maya Musk. Everybody knows her, Elon Musk's mother. And actually, she is also a fashion model. She was catwalking for a Chinese brand, Ju Sui. So I also spoke to Maya Musk briefly in, I think I showed you the video in New York.
Maya Musk, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Maya Musk, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's fascinating. And let me ask you this. You know, you have that honor, the French national honor, the Chevalier de la Légion.
Yes, I'm very happy that you speak French, so you know what it means.
I do, and I also know that that was created by Napoleon Bonaparte in
Yes, yes.
1802. So
Mhm.
France has been giving out this award, you know, very selectively for over
Mhm.
100 years. And you shared that you're the first Chinese American to receive this award.
Uh, uh, yes, I was very blessed, I should say, um, because I'm an American citizen now. So that year, I received that honor along with the CEO of Blackstone, I think Swassman, and also the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. And I remember a few years earlier, former Secretary of State John Kerry also received this honor. And of course, some Hollywood stars, Robert Redford, Meryl Streep, probably. Yeah, really very important Americans have received this honor. And in the art world, Jeff Koons, Gagosian, the famous Gagosian gallerist. So I'm still feel very privileged and honored to join the League of Legion of Honor.
Yeah. Yeah. And since we recently were talking about your book, it's full of pictures. And I know from my photo collection, sometimes I'll go look through them and I'll randomly find a picture and it will really bring back some amazing memories. From your book, do you have a few photos that really bring back some great memories that you can share?
Yes, this book really is dedicated to young people, future generations, because old days people read long articles or big books. Nowadays, I think we have like attention span, short attention span.
Yeah.
So I only have like a little bit over 25 pages of words. So most are pictures. It's a photo memoir. But of course, I pay a lot of attention to the photo captions. I think it's really meaningful because many people that I had picture with, met with them or spoke with them, they died already, like Henry Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like I met him maybe dozens of times. So like here you have I have 3 pictures. Look,
Wow, look at
at
that.
different occasions. Sometimes the UN event or in a social event or U.S.-China. There's a committee. It's called National Committee on U.S.-China Relations. They have annual dinner also, and also the first astronaut who went to China in 1948, John Glenn,
John
he
Glenn.
died, and McCain, former Senator McCain.
Yes, John
Yeah,
McCain.
yeah.
Yeah, war hero
So
too.
lots of historical photos, and even United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan died.
Yeah.
It's really I mean, I think it's nice to have these photos. It's historical, and some libraries have it kind of an archive. Yeah. And some important journalists like the former managing director of New York Times, and both New York Times and the Washington Times. Yeah, I met so many important and interesting people in American history.
That's great. Oh, by the way, audience, if you have questions, you can type them
Yeah,
in our chat, and we'll be sure to read them to Noelle, and she can share.
mhm.
I have a question. Maybe it's a bit off topic, but I know how much you're into curiosity and development and following your passions. And a really strong, popular question now that we like to ask every guest is when you look forward and you see how AI is permeating into so many parts of our lives, how do you feel people should engage with that moving forward?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that kind of question. I'm not a technology savvy. My life or my passion is very much with humanity.
Yes.
So I always resist technology. But of course, on the other hand, I'm very grateful to the modern technology. Because of technology, we are able to organize this kind of webinar. So I can speak to the audience all over the world, in California, New York, China, Europe, everywhere. I can talk to my father like every other day via WeChat. So that's the beauty of technology. But somehow, I think it's a generational issue. I meet many young people sometimes. The things make them high or happy, maybe are not necessarily make us high. I mean, my generation, 50 or some 60. So I keep thinking this AI. I hope human beings will still play a major role. The AI or all kind of technology should be a tool to make us feel better, to make our life better. But we don't want to become a slave or victim, to be dominated or to be controlled by technology. Humanity should be above all. This is why some technology I resist, like I go to check in a hotel or check in airport. I prefer to deal with a person alive. I don't like to deal with machine. Why hundreds of millions of people will lose their jobs? Not everybody can be a genius like Elon Musk, right? So we need that kind of a labor or basic jobs. If you subtract or you cut all these jobs, what are they going to do, these people? Not everybody can be a rocket scientist. So anyway, this is a long discussion. It's not within my ability to to solve it.
Yeah. So I guess one way I look at it, maybe you can comment on this, is if technology changes how we interact, should that also reflect on how our society would change to accommodate that?
It's changing already.
Yeah.
I always like to have a personal interaction. I like to have a. I don't like virtual parties. I like real parties. When I cook, I still invite friends. I go to many in-person events. Like 1 hour ago, I was at the Metropolitan Museum for a reception. Um, of course, but this me. I cannot talk on behalf of young generation. Some people they feel very high when they play with computer games. I cannot understand that.
Yeah. So we can move off the AI topic, but I just want to ask you one last question. So as AI continues to become more and more part of our lives, what are the unique human values you think will matter more and not less in the future?
But humans, we should always be in control. We should. It's not the other way around. I hope. So people these days will talk about like chips instilled to people's brain. Then everybody will have the same brain, or everybody will have the same kind of a logic. Anyway, that's beyond my imagination. It's a cultural issue also.
So to maintain our uniqueness and our
Yeah,
humanity.
I really enjoy people to people, like I'm enjoying talking to you now, but not with a machine, not with a robot.
We do have an interesting question that came in from Cece. She said,
Okay.
"Hi, Noelle. Thank you for sharing today. Did you have a moment that was so hard you almost gave up during your various career experiences?"
Yeah, it's a great question. Of course, I've gone through not one moment, several difficult moments. I think we all, in order to arrive where we are, we have to go through many difficulties or challenges. Um, that's part of life. And only through those difficult moments, challenges, we learn something, and we achieve self-transcendence. If everything is so easy, I don't think human beings can make progress, right?
Well, certainly, if you overcome difficulties or you learn from them, you grow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can only grow via some failures.
We only cease to grow if we withdraw from every challenge.
Yeah.
If we,
Again, I always say, never give up. You have to believe in yourself.
yeah. Also, if we fail and we don't reflect on it to learn, then we also don't grow.
Mhm.
Just have pain.
Yes, 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 yeah. We need patience. Sometimes just follow the natural path. Because when I talk to many young people in America or in China, myself, me included, young people when I was younger, tend to be impatient because we wanted very much to be successful, to achieve something quickly. I think patience is very important. Just follow the natural path. And it's like sometimes many things have to take the due course. You cannot be too much in hurry.
Yes. Yeah, someone once shared an idea with me. I thought I never forgot it. He said, if you always just flow with the river, you're always
Mhm.
going.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Mhm.
rivers go down, they don't go up. So you need to take some action yourself.
Yeah, I believe in life destiny. Some people may be lucky, they achieve success or fame at a younger age, some maybe older age. But exactly because I remember just a few months ago, I gave a talk. I don't believe achieving fame or success if you are 25 or 30 is necessarily a good thing, because it's not always easy to hold the fame, hold, let's say, artist. If she or he is lucky, the price reaches 1 million. But it's not easy to hold that kind of price. Okay? You really have to have real substance. I think take it easy, take the time necessary, not so much in hurry.
Yes.
It's good for us. Yeah.
Yes. That's a really good point. Some people
Mhm.
be disappointed if they have early success, but then the future successes aren't there, right?
Yeah, I can tell you lots of artists or actors, actresses, they reach the fame younger age, and then later on, if they did not continue to work hard, and then it's over.
Yeah. I could name many, many of those.
Yeah.
Many. Um, we have another question that came in from the audience. For young people who are passionate about political science and international studies, do you have any advice for them in terms of their career path under the current global political situation?
Um, I think it's great if people are interested in international affairs or geopolitics. I think United Nations is a wonderful organization to start with, but there's also other international organizations or NGOs who focus on international development work. Um, why not? You have a lot of choices. Either you work for international organizations, or we call them multilateral organizations, or there's in United States, we have so many wonderful foundations, Clinton Foundation, Carter Foundation, all these presidential foundations. They have a wonderful international programs. Sorry, USAID just finished, but I worked my youth days. I worked a lot with the USAID, but there are still many other organizations exist. I don't know about your career interest. Some people maybe want to be a researcher, want to teach in universities. I still believe that the future for international development. Or you want to work as a diplomat, you can become American diplomat, passing some exams to join State Department.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Right. So you mentioned a few. You said the State Department.
Yeah, depends your nationality, right? If you're Chinese, you join Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the United States, it's Department of State, under now the leadership of Mark Rubio.
Yeah, you mentioned the Carter Foundation and the United Nations. What about the WHO?
Yeah, we called WHO or UNICEF or UNDP or UNFPA United Nations system. United Nations has like over 20 specialized agencies. We all call them UN system. So WHO or World Bank. They're just one of them.
Okay, I'm typing these into the chat. And what I suggest is Noelle was very kind to come up with many names, which I captured most of them here. And if you have an interest to explore that career, what I'd recommend you do next, you copy from this chat, you go to ChatGPT and say, I'm interested in career in political science and internet. It was recommended I consider these kinds of organizations. Can you give me a full list of these? Then you can start from there. Go to their websites, look for careers, network with people who
Mark, you are really a very good coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, nowadays with Google, it's easy to find all the information.
Yes. It's easy to find the information, but most people don't know what to do with it. Like here you are, an expert, you've done it, you mentioned a few. And to take action, it's okay, find the website, look for careers, but most importantly, try to find people like on LinkedIn or networking events who worked in those organizations.
Exactly, yeah.
You have to,
Mingle with those people, yes.
yes.
Expand your friend circle. It's very important, yeah. Social networking.
Social networking, it just starts with like a vision, like Noelle shared. Here are the opportunities. Those are like the little roots. And now you can nurture them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Networking, that's the key, right? Social networking, establish some rapport, ask for a contact who still works there or a recommendation or something, right? But anyways, enough of that. We got more questions coming in. Somebody asked if you have any faith or religion.
I keep faith. Religion is a very personal issue. I don't think we should elaborate in this kind of a webinar. But keep faith. No matter what religion you believe in, I keep faith.
Stay true to yourself.
That's the driving force for all kind of resilience. Why I never give up? Because I keep faith. I always think tomorrow will be better, and I will achieve my goal. Unlike many other people, when I apply for school or apply for jobs, I don't send millions of or hundreds of thousands of resumes. But of course, I don't recommend my method to everyone because people are different. You have different personalities. But I talk about me, myself, my experience, because I know exactly what I want. So I only apply for United Nations, maybe a few specialized agencies. And I only apply for Sorbonne because I think that this is the only school I want to go, and the rest I don't want to go. So that's just me for your reference.
Yeah, you made a commitment. You had a vision and you made a commitment to those things, right?
Yes. I pretty sure what I want exactly, where I want to work. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was in high school, I only applied to 4 universities. Now kids are doing like 20 or 40. It's just kind of outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there any I wanted to ask you one question about when you were in China, you were in Shanghai, you were a
I
student.
was born there, yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of Chinese people took English as their foreign language. You took French, is that right?
Yeah, I took French because I was dreaming of Paris. So French was my first foreign language. So naturally, I apply for a French university, Sorbonne. I went to Paris to continue my education. Yeah.
How many people in your class, also took French instead of English?
Very few, like 600 students, around 600 students a year, maybe only 30. I think they call the French class, or 30 something, 30 some took French as a foreign language. Yeah.
Not many. So it is almost 7 o'clock. Are there any additional items or ideas you wanted to share with the audience?
What I try to say is something about self-transcendence or cultural narrative. I believe maybe many people today in the audience are Chinese or Chinese Americans. Since I also work in the art field, I'm a curator of contemporary art. I think this generation, we are even more equipped. We need to make more progress to challenge the traditional or stereotype cultural narrative towards Asian people or Chinese, or towards usually like when people describe Chinese or Chinese Americans, you have this typical like national or ethnic profile. Okay, so my whole life is to live a free life. That's why I call my book is a
Yeah.
world citizen. La vie en rose means happy life, not necessarily successful life. Successful or not successful is all relative. But as a woman, particularly, I think happy is very important. It's la vie en rose means a blossomed woman, okay, developed woman. Because my life path is not so typical maybe Chinese or Chinese American. But I'm sure younger people who have more opportunities and more chances to develop yourself, develop your dream, or achieve your dreams, to embrace a life path, really, again, with free spirit, with your love, with your passion. And I'm sure you will arrive somewhere and you will achieve your dream or success.
Yes. We did have one late question come in here. I had French for a second foreign language. What would be the best way to brush it up?
You want to improve your language, you
She,
mingle with French friends, you go out, hang out with French friends or roommate, or you go to France, spend some holidays there.
if you're single, find a French girlfriend or boyfriend, right?
Yeah, making friends, yes.
Are there like social groups that you would find in big cities where French people tend to get together? Maybe
There's so many of them. I think by interest, like I joined some clubs, film clubs in New York, or art events. There are so many lecture events in different museums. When you attend those lectures, you meet many people who share your interest, right?
yes.
In addition to your professional work, just to go out to have some hobbies to make your life more fun, more enjoyable.
I'm going to put a few things in the chat here based on what Noelle shared. International film clubs, like at community centers or museums, art events, she had mentioned, maybe fashion events, because the
Yeah.
events would attract French-speaking people, right? In general.
Yes, there's so many. There's a French film, Alliance Française, maybe in big cities, in New York, in Washington D.C., in San Francisco. Go on maybe website of French Embassy Cultural Service. I think they show films once in a while.
So again, same tactic. You take a list of these things, you put them in ChatGPT and say, I'm interested in meeting French-speaking people to improve my French language capability. Here are some ideas, what am I overlooking? What ideas do you have? And it may come up with a list of 10 things.
Mm-hmm. Mark, last time you mentioned Chinese people like to talk about improve themselves, right?
Yes.
For me, I think I like to talk about self-transcendence. What does it mean, improve? You are already very good at sports. Maybe you try to explore some unknown field, explore some unknown territory. What I call this is self-transcendence. Because I know some Chinese, they are good at this and they continue to do this. I think self-transcendence is quite important.
Is that to continue evolving?
It's a kind of evolving also. It's never easy to leave. You have to leave your comfort zone, right? To try to do something new, to explore something, like have some adventurous spirit. And in this regard, Americans, you are the best. We are the best. Americans are well known because of our innovation spirit, our adventurous spirit. And as Chinese immigrants, I think people need to learn from the American pioneers.
Yes. Because a lot of people think about growth in terms of a tree, like I have to go taller, but they should also think about the root structure going wider, right?
Exactly, yeah. So talking about our talking points, I mentioned the love of humanity. It's a Greek word, philanthropy. Do you know philanthropy is coming from Greek word? It means love of humanity. Only because you love what you do, you love humanity, then I think life becomes more enjoyable and meaningful. And also another thing I would like to say is live in the present. Present in English means also gift. Okay, the time is a God-given gift. How we need to maximize our time. I really appreciate everyone today here to spend this 1 hour with me and Mark to maximize our time and be ourselves. Because only the present we can catch, and not to be tangled too much in for things it's past, and not to worry too much about the future. Be happy and live in the present moment. It's also kind of a French philosophy.
That's another good point is people don't feel as much satisfaction these days, and it's because they lack the presence. They're not enjoying the moments they're in. They're always on their phone. They're not with the people that are around.
Yeah. When I have a dinner party, sometimes I have to offend my dinner guests. I said, please put away your phone. Otherwise, you don't have to be here. You have to respect my cooking, right? Because the reason you are here is to have a conversation with me. You can go home to check your phones. I follow the French rules. In some restaurants, they even don't allow to have your phone taken out from your bag. Okay, maybe last thing I would like to emphasize is the keep harmony and balance. People often ask, how do you manage this life, work, and everything? The balance, I often talk about 3 balances. We need to manage the balance between materialism and idealism. And second balance, especially for women, is an emotionality and rationality, sense and sensibility. Okay, and for some artists, I often talk about romantic illusion or imagination and the life reality. I think managing those balances are key to success, or to have a happy, healthy life.
Yes.
I was reading just on the way back home earlier. I was reading social media. Somebody put President Kennedy's words. Talk about America at that time, 1960s. We cannot afford to be materially rich and spiritually poor. I think these words are still very relevant, especially Asians, Chinese focus a lot on financial or material success. Okay, they judge you how much you make, how many houses you have, how many cars you own, all these kind of tangible values. Okay, so I'm maybe a little bit different. I try to have a balance. I don't mean that I want to live a poor life, of course not, right? But a balance between materialism and idealism, to have some spiritual life. It can be different dimensions. It can go to church as a kind of spiritual life, but also volunteer, helping others, doing philanthropic work, and enjoying a museum show, some intellectual life, reading literature, or films. I'm crazy about films. Yeah. So, what do you think, Mark?
Yeah, that goes right back to the question about the AI and the human values, right? Because the AI fixation gets us focused on productivity. Why? So we can get things, so we can be successful in our career. But what you're saying is, no, we have to put that in perspective, right? What enriches us? What makes,
AI cannot change the happiness of human being. What
yeah,
makes us happy, to be fulfilled? There are some commonalities.
yeah,
Okay, I don't think money alone can really make a human being happy. We need to live with love, with harmony, harmony with other family members, with friends, even with the society at large, to be fulfilled. So money can only contribute somehow, but there's a lot of other things we need to do to be really fulfilled.
those are wise words. A lot of people who only chase the money are trying to fill,
Yeah.
right? They're trying to fill.
Again, I
What
emphasize
would be
money
better
is
for
a
them is
tool. Money
perhaps
is a
to
tool.
use
Money
those.
should not be objective.
Mhm.
Objective is what? Is to be happy, to live a meaningful and a healthy life, to advance our civilization, right? Money is a tool. Sometimes I say it doesn't matter how much you know. What matters is what you do with what you know.
Yeah.
Same with money. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It matters what you do with your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as I was saying, is there's a lot of people who are driven to make more because they have some emptiness. And what will fill that emptiness is not money or things that we'll buy, but this enrichment, right? To do the things that enrich them and give
Yeah,
them purpose, make them feel fulfilled if they're creative, to use their creative talents, that kind
because I talk about I give some lectures sometimes to those art students or art lovers.
of.
The taste, okay, the taste is accumulation. Okay, money cannot replace the taste.
Yeah.
So, in order to develop your taste, aesthetics, it's a long journey. It takes me 30 some years, okay, to have my taste today. It's like an evolving process. So sometimes people think, oh, I have so much money, then you just buy expensive, high brand clothes. But sometimes does not match.
Yeah.
You need to develop some personal style. As I spoke at the Fashion Week a few years ago. So fashion today is also a form of art. It's
Yeah.
not just to dress up, it's to design, it's to create. is to boost your self-confidence, is to send a message, and it's also affected our feelings. It's impacting women's empowerment and women's leadership. So people need to have, create your own style or branding. So fashion can really help, but only you read or you study a lot. You go to many fashion shows, or you go to many art museums, many art exhibitions. Then it's a long process. You elevate your taste in clothing, in jewelry, or in food, everything, right?
Yeah, that deep exposure will marinate you, and then you have some flavor.
Yeah, and develop self-confidence.
Yes. Well, hey, it's very
All
late.
right.
It's
Yeah, it's
like
late.
10:15. Thank you for staying up so late and giving.
So I hope we answered all the questions.
Well, there is one last question.
Okay.
If you still have some energy, I'll just read it. I think it's the easy one for you. It's how can you always have the freedom to choose what you want to do and follow your passions?
Actually, it takes a lot of hard work. It's not an easy question. More freedom you have, it's actually freedom is not free, not really free. It's linked to a tremendous professionalism. It's hard work. Many people have worked with me. They know that I'm a perfectionist in language, in writing, in doing programs, even in writing books, even the small details, captions of pictures. It's a lot of work also. Not just freedom you can do whatever you want.
Just one
If
sec.
you choose one project, you have to deliver. It's always linked to a lot of tremendous hard work. What about my book? I think people can easily find on eBay. Just Google my name, Noelle Xie, and the title World Citizen La Vie en Rose. And the title is just my name, Noelle. And once you get my book, if you mention that you follow this webinar, I will send you a signed copy, and then I will invite you to join my book club. Okay, sometime my book club has in-person events in New York or virtual events also.
It's hard to stand out, but I've got a secret that I'm about to shout. Building bridges and making friends, that's how the journey of success begins. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve. Customize your growth, there's nothing you can't conceive. Build your network, reach for the stars. Professional adventures taking you far. Communication and leadership, it's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dream team. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve.